In the previous part of this episode, we talk about high-risk jobs as AI continues to grow, like data entry, customer support, and admin work. Now, in the second part, we're shifting the focus to roles that hit closer to home. These are jobs we've worked in before, or ones where most of our community is right now, like project managers, software developers, QA testers, and database administrators. So, how will AI affect these roles? Will they thrive, evolve, or face new risks too? Let's break it down.
Software developers, engineers, what do you think is the future of programming?
I think like a level up version of programmers and coders would be demanded. Like coders who don't just code functions or features, but who have critical thinking and are probably AI powered and can make better output would be the trend or would be more in demand. Because honestly, there's a lot of programmers now, but when you see their output, they're not so great. um the industry also boomed, right? So we're all in this digital revolution era, and more people need websites, more people need proprietary system, more people need custom configuration with their current ERP or whatever, right? So there's literally been more demand for developers and programmers, but
Mhm.
there's also been a scarcity, right? So now I think with AI, you can have developers that are 10x more productive, can take 10x more projects at a faster rate because a lot of their intelligence can be augmented with an AI assistant as well.
Yeah.
Again, focusing on the output, I think the industry will drive us to a sense that we need more humans with better quality output. And I think AI is going to help us on that.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it depends on the industry as well. If you're a developer who's more AI development, I think there's gonna be a lot of opportunities because now that the world is transitioning to AI, there's a lot of programming opportunities around that. But if you're more
Yeah.
in the legacy application, right? Web development right now, aside from there's already websites that's highly configurable, even custom coding on those websites, you can easily
Yeah.
put that in ChatGPT to do the coding for you. So it depends on the industry as well. But it's
Yep.
good to highlight the critical thinking of these developers. That's very important.
I think developers would really evolve from simply just writing code to creating or architecting systems,
Mhm.
right? So we talked about agentic systems. So instead of just writing one code for one feature, or, just one single program, I think they're gonna move towards, again, better quality results, but also architecting systems, right? And the development process isn't just coding. There's also a lot of debugging. There's also a lot of researching, googling, looking for code or looking for references to solve complex problems. I think AI would be best to assist those developers rather than to completely replace them. Do you need less developers in a team now that they're more efficient? Yes. Will there be more development projects? Yes, for sure. Right?
Mhm.
Because again, I think more and more people would want to build in this in this economy of AI, right?
Mhm. And also,
Yeah.
one more buzzword. I'm not sure if you heard about this vibe coding.
Yeah.
So, since we're talking about software developers, programmers, vibe coding is a thing right now.
Yeah. I think you still need basic programming skills in order to vibe code. Because if you vibe code, then you can either guide AI to create something really good, or end up creating something that's just okay or mediocre, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if you can create Amazon.com just with vibe coding. Um, I don't want to dare or challenge a Gen Z to do that, but I think it'll allow you to get to a prototype really fast.
Mhm.
How to maintain and operate an actual site or an actual website or an actual system might be you might not be able to vibe code that, but definitely creating something would be possible with vibe coding, right?
Yeah. It's just that uh you're not sure about the quality, depends on your AI, right? You're not
Yeah.
sure, you not even know what's the content of that to the unit level. So
Yep.
I mean, to everyone listening, vibe coding is basically coding using human natural language, where you prompt these AI to generate the code for you or build the app for you, and instead of writing the code from scratch. So like what you said, it's important to know what's in there. It's to understand what's in there, and not just to rely completely on AI, because you just don't know. I mean, probably programmers probably gonna say it's gonna go through testing anyway.
Yeah,
but but
definitely.
if you're getting a lot of bugs during the QA, then that means there's something wrong with your vibe coding. It's going to take much more time and investment if you get these bugs down the road, rather than trying to get it avoided in the early stage of the development.
Yep, agree.
All right, let's go to the next one, QA testers. And we talked about testing earlier, quality assurance. And what do you think is the future? And QA, there's a lot of repetitive, routine tasks in QA, from test execution, right, to writing test cases. And I'm not sure if you remember, in one of our big projects before, we have a lot of QA testers. I wanted
Yeah.
to give a shout out to Elise, right? Elise, Diana, and these are QA leads that time who's handling. I think we have 20 testers, if I'm not mistaken, that time. And it takes a lot of effort to train these testers, onboard these testers, guide them in the first few phases on how to execute test cases, right? How to
Yeah.
document. It's a lot of work. And these test cases, we're not just talking about 50, 100. It depends on the number of applications you're testing. It could go through a lot. Hundreds, could be thousands of test cases. This is a lot of manpower. And how do you think AI will play in that role?
You and I both know that probably the more people vibe code, the more you need testers. The more people create systems out of coding, the more that you need quality testers. And the more that these systems get created, the more that quality testers need AI to debug and to solve and to test these functions and features, right? And these products. Definitely I don't think AI will kill QA or quality assurance. I think the more demand for quality testers would grow. AI powered quality testers, because there's so much that goes through testing, right? Creating the test cases, actually executing the test cases, validating, apart from the onboarding process. So the onboarding process already is very time consuming, right? 3 to 6 months that a person is really not at their best professional self when you're onboarding them. I bet AI can shorten this apart from learning and development. So AI powered onboarding, AI powered automated test cases, AI powered regression testing or unit testing or whatever. Part
Mhm.
of the QA process I think would be AI powered. And I think testers would appreciate that. So instead of needing
Mhm.
100, you might need 10. Or instead of needing 20, you might need 5 or
Mhm.
6. It's a reduction, but they might be more efficient and more productive as well because you need less, but you can test more. But I think the demand for it industry wide would also increase because of the amount of systems that are being created, the amount of products, functions, features, and systems that are being created.
That's a good point. Actually, it kind of changed my perspective. I thought QA is really going to be highly impacted because of the repetitive nature of the job. But you are right that with the demand on, development of new systems, and with the vibe coding, I mean, there's a need of quality testing. But it's a good point that instead of dealing with 20 the testers, you're probably going to be having just five of them, right? But they're
Yeah.
AI powered. They have the tools. And I think it's important for the testers to kind of step up the game to your critical thinking, your thinking outside the box. We always say that to the testers, right? Just don't focus on the test cases, the test execution. Hey, think about, why are you testing this, right? What's the requirement? What's the purpose? Because from there you'll understand, oh, is this sufficient testing? Maybe you need to add more test cases. Maybe this test cases should be done on multiple parts. So it's thinking outside the box that will make you really good testers, to the point that if they're gonna cut down on testers, you're gonna be the one that will stay, because they know that you can think critically, that you can think outside the box.
Yeah, and instead of getting busy with the execution of testing, if you can be busy with maintaining the outcomes of testing, like 100% rates or really nice KPIs, I think it's going to be driven to for humans to drive more of the outcomes, and less of the manual work. And again, higher quality outcomes is hopefully what it empowers, right? Because what
Right.
if what if our testers before could have ensured 100% zero error once a system moves to production? Then in 5 days, isn't that a good story? Isn't that a good output or an outcome with AI and human systems, like
Yeah.
humans empowered by AI to do, right?
How about DBAs, database administrators? And database administrators, well, the name administrators, right? We talk about admin, but this one is different, right? These are, they have a lot of routine tasks as well, like data updates. I remember when we were in HP, oh, you call a DBA, your DBA should be your best friend. Because if you need a
Yeah.
data update, or something urgent on the database, you need someone to address that. And a lot of those things are routine as well that AI can do. I can imagine databases companies right now, they're gonna integrate AI for sure. Right. So what do you
Yeah.
think about database administrators?
I think database administrators might be burnt out or overwhelmed with the amount of databases that they need to monitor. Um, I mean, this is all like data driven.
True.
So the more data systems that are created, I don't think they're going to disappear. Will
Yeah.
they be managing more databases? Yes. Do they need AI assistance? I think yes. Will it be more competitive? Yes, I think so, especially with the advent of AI, because I think the industry would drive more on, are you reaching your KPIs? Are you reaching the metrics that you or the outcomes that you want to reach? So I think the industry is going to drive more that, rather than, do you have the skills of a
Mm.
good DBA, or are you reaching the key metrics as a DBA, right?
Mm. Yeah, that's true. I think same as the QA. There's tasks that's going to be automated by AI. You can cut down
Yeah.
your DBA team from 10 to 3, but they're going to be AI powered, because I think as a DBA, there's very important human elements like critical thinking, especially on incident response, right? I mean, incidents that AI cannot handle, that you have like the architecture knowledge, then you need the DBA for that. And security and compliance oversight as well is very important, because DBA handles these too. They just don't know. For some, we think DBA is just routine task, but really that role,
Yeah.
you have to have these database knowledge to really be a good DBA.
I think it'll also speed up the process of pattern recognition. You talked about incidents, right? The reduction of incidents as well. It might also speed up the process of pattern recognition if there's a certain incident that's constantly occurring, or if there's a way to better design the next system, or to implement a policy that would improve the system overall. It might speed up the job of a DBA, and to actually improve the system overall, rather than just firefighting every day from an operational standpoint.
Yeah, yeah. You have to step up your role as well, step up in the game, because instead of focusing too much on the routine tasks, performance tuning, monitoring, and alerts, those are routine. Try to think outside the box as well and understand the architecture, the compliance, the security, because that's where your value is going to come in.
Yeah, it's the unique selling proposition of being a human DBA. It's your thinking, your pattern recognition, your discernment, your intelligence,
Mhm.
and your ability on how to work with all of these systems, from your current systems to future AI systems, right?
Yeah. And I have the last one here. I think this one's going to be special. Project managers.
I don't
Wow.
think I don't think we're part of the PMs are gonna lose their jobs anytime soon. I think they're the least impacted.
But my take on this, definitely yes. This is low risk, but it depends on how your organization treat you as a PM. Because we know that your title is project manager, but some organizations they treat their PM as an admin, as a project admin, because you have a tons of admin tasks, just doing the minutes of the meeting, documentation, organizing meetings, instead of focusing on leading teams, instead of focusing on the decisions you have to make, the strategy, right? So, and I think a big part of the PM role, we know there's admin tasks. A lot of it's going to be powered by AI. But if you're kind of a PM who doesn't do a lot of the human element, the leading teams aspect of it, then you might need to think about it.
Yeah, I think PMs in general might not be impacted by AI immediately, because PM is a really soft skill type of. There's a lot of soft skills that you need as a PM, right? Conflict management, stakeholder management, relationship management. Apart from just the hard skills of being a project manager, managing a project honestly is easy. If we manage a project in a perfect world scenario, our jobs would be super easy. But what makes it hard? Navigating people, getting people to move, getting people to decide, getting people to act, making sure that everything's moving according to timeline, right? So you're a middleman between the real world and your project plan. And you're the one keeping everything together and kind of acting as the glue. So I think PMs have a lot to benefit from AI, which kind of gives me an idea for a course right now, the AI powered PM. Because I think PMs spend a lot of time, or I think more than 50% of their time, with just work about work. The work, low impact, low value work, like sending an email or drafting the minutes of the meeting or creating a project charter document, and all of these other document things and administrative things that really is not a good use of a PM's time. Because what a PM is really good at is their critical thinking, their discernment, handling a project, handling customers, handling clients, and kind of problem solving whatever needs to be problem solved within their projects, right? So I think there's more to gain, especially because the work has been increasing for project managers. There's more projects to manage, there's more outcomes to create. And I think AI is going to definitely help out the struggling, drowning project manager right now. Actually, there was a study that I saw that more than 50 to 60% of a worker's time is actually spent about work. So these are the work that's either administrative or compliance in a sense. And if we can outsource that to AI, then that would be great. Maybe more project managers would have less time on unpaid overtime. Because a lot of PMs do a lot of overtime, but they don't report it anymore, right? They do it outside. They do it on their personal time, managing their emails, replying to things. And I think AI will allow them to have more life outside of work. Even McKinsey Global, I think, had a study that about 20, less than 30% of a person's time at work is spent managing emails, because there's really just too much emails going on. So the volume of emails have increased in the past 10 years of this digital ecosystem, this digital economy that we have, and you still have limited human time and attention. So even managing your email with AI might actually be of help to a PM. If it can save you 30% of your time, why not, right?
Mhm. But what's gonna happen there if you save those time? Then the company is just gonna adjust your the number of projects that you can handle, right? You get this
Most prob
50%
they're doing
productivity,
that
but
now anyways. They're doing it now anyways. Definitely I think that would happen. But
but it
yeah, I
depends
think
on
that's
the
yeah.
the organization for sure and how they want to handle that one. But it's a really really good point that these productivity gains, right?
Yeah.
It will be a big help for current PMs right now who's already burdened by not just the real PM work but the work about work.
Yeah, agree. I totally agree with that one. And actually, even if you don't save, for example, if an 8-hour work day, then let's be honest, a lot of PMs really do work outside of their work hours. Then maybe even just saving and allowing your personal time to be your personal time so that your 8 hours of work every day can be just focused on high impact work. Remember before when in our jobs, in our corporate jobs, there was an assumptions that people are only 80% productive Monday to Friday, right? When we compute for the full-time equivalent of their hours, that in a day, probably your high impact work is only 6 hours. I think there's studies that show that people only have 3 to 4 hours of high impact work every day. And half of that is actually being spent managing emails, attending meetings, or complying with administrative requirements in an enterprise. And if we can even save those times, then we might be able to double the impact of project managers while reducing their burdens in terms of compliances, administrative things, and answering emails and all of those.
Yep.
Sending reports. Um, yeah, I think it'll save more time, definitely.
That's a good point. Yeah, so to all the PMs there, right? Try to focus more on the value that you can give as a PM in risk management, problem solving, the leading aspect of it instead of the those admin routine jobs. You still need it, but try to use AI to help you be productive on those kind of tasks so you can spend additional time to the more valuable tasks. And I wanted to share as well for those who are PMP certified, there's PMI. They have this LLM actually called PMI Infinity. So I'm not sure if everyone knows about that, but it's like a chat GPT for PMs. It's made by PMI. So it's a general purpose LLM, and then they trained it with more PM focus knowledge in there. So it's a good tool if you're a PMP member. I believe it's free. If you're a PMI member, I believe it's free access to that PMI Infinity. Cool. I think we'll wrap up here. Thanks, Mooch.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching.